Yeah. Now you do a power hypertrophy training. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Yeah. So this kind of training is basically nonlinear periodization. It's just kind of a fancy way of naming it. But I got into this kind of training because it was like I think I was a junior in college, and a friend of mine who was very knowledgeable about training, he had been on me to try a little bit of powerlifting training, I was on the typical, train each body part one time per week and kind of the traditional bodybuilding split. He said, you really ought to try training everything twice a week or 3 times a week. I said, man, you're nuts. You're nuts. That's crazy. I'll overtrain. And he said, no. Once you adapt to it, you'll start making gains. So, he helped me set up what was kind of formed. It was a really early version of the split. It's evolved since then, but basically I was working out 4 times a week, upper body and lower body twice a week. One day would be heavy kind of powerlifting type training, squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows, doing a lot of, under 5 reps of max effort work. And then later in the week it would be higher reps, less rest between sets, more like a traditional bodybuilding style training. And man, the first 3-4 weeks of it were brutal. I hated it. I wasn't used to training my whole body at once. I actually lost some strength. And I think this is why a lot of people think training twice a week is overtraining, because when they first try it, they get weaker because their body's not used to it. And then after a week of it, they say, oh, no, I can't do this. I'm overtraining. But he convinced me to stick it out. And man, after 4 weeks, my strength started skyrocketing. And so, now the split's changed to where I still have those first 2 days of the week where I'm doing upper, lower, kind of a power split. And then I rest a day, and then 3 days later in the week I do a bodybuilding split. So I'll do, for example, I'll do lower body or upper body on Monday, and then lower body on Tuesday, rest Wednesday. Thursday I'll do shoulders and arms. Friday I'll do legs, and then Saturday I'll do chest and back. And that'll be kind of like a bodybuilding style training. So I split it up into 3 days as opposed to 2, because with a higher volume, doing your entire upper body tends to kind of wear on you over time. You can do it, but you're going to be in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But so that kind of formed the crux of the split, and I changed a lot. I've incorporated wave loading to it, nonlinear periodization, a lot of different training styles with it, but it kind of always stays that same general layout, and it's made a huge difference in my physique. I mean, when I stepped on stage, people commented mostly on my legs and back thickness. They say, the judges said, it was amazing the difference in my back and legs. And that's from that powerlifting, that's from that heavy lifting, the squats and deadlifts. I mean, I had people tell me powerlifting is going to ruin your physique, and you're going to look like garbage on stage. And well, it certainly didn't seem to, So I'm a big, I think that all rep ranges have merit. I do train high reps, later in the week, but I think that density, that look, you got to have that heavy weight. I mean, there's a reason the best bodybuilders in history have trained heavy, and more than anything, I think, going in the gym and getting a pump is fun, but there's nothing like hoisting some heavy iron around and just feeling that iron go through you and breaking PRs. I mean, if anything else, I gotta have fun when I go to the gym. If I was on a split and I hated it, you're not gonna work hard at it. I tell people that too. I say, first and foremost, your routine has to be fun, because if it's not, you're not gonna work hard at it. You're not gonna be motivated at it. So, that's how I have fun. Is I get into my workout, and I know a lot of people on YouTube make fun of me psyching myself up and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. I realize everybody's different, and some people are going to think I look like an idiot, and that's fine. But me, that's how I have fun. That's how I get into it, and that's what amps me up. So, again, I think in general, the first piece of advice I give you in designing a workout is definitely make sure it's fun and you enjoy it. Otherwise, you're not going to work hard at it.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a really good point. And then you said you added some methods to the power hypertrophy. What would you say is the most radical, unconventional thing you've added to that over the years?
Well, I'd probably say accommodating resistance. I started reading a lot of West Side Barbell stuff, and I kind of so I use a lot of bands and chains when I work out, especially on my power day. And so, like yesterday, I did reverse band squats where I have these huge rubber bands and I hang them down from the top of the squat rack and loop them over the squat. So as I get deeper into the squat, it assists me, and as I get higher, I get less assistance. And so you can also do it the reverse way, where you put the bands on the bottom, and it makes it harder as you go higher and easier as you go lower. And so that's a way of it works on your strength curve, and it makes you more explosive. There's better power output, and they've actually done university studies now showing that training with bands and chains actually produces greater strength gains and better power output than just traditional training, because you get you have different sticking points in your lift. So I've done some of that incorporation. One of the things I tried that was actually completely off my split was something called small off, which is a squat routine that's absolutely just brutal. Some crazy Russian made it up, and it was the first 3 weeks was squatting 4 times a week, and then and high volume and not light either. All sessions were hard. So there's two days where you're squatting back to back. And man, it was brutal, but it put like 35 pounds on my squat in 3 weeks. And for a guy who's, I was squatting over 500 pounds at the time, that's a pretty big increase considering how long I've been lifting. And it put like half an inch on my legs in 3 weeks. And then it goes to another, like 6 weeks of 3 days a week of squatting, which is actually even harder because it's crazy heavy weights for lots of sets. And, I actually had to stop it 1 week short just because my hips were so inflamed from squatting so heavy. Man, it worked. My squat went from like 520 pounds with knee wraps to like 560 pounds without knee wraps, which is pretty crazy. So it's probably more like a 40 or 50 pound increase. Right. So I was, I tell people, don't be afraid to try new stuff. But give it long enough to work. Give it 6 weeks to work. But don't be afraid to try new stuff, because the worst thing that can happen is, okay, well, you waste 6 weeks. Well, in 30 years of training or 20 years of training, or, if you're going to stick with it, that's nothing. That's, a blip on the radar. But if you find something that works, that's golden, So that was like me trying that power hypertrophy training. I was very close to saying, I'm like, told my friend, you're crazy, I'm not going to try this, I'm just going to stick with what I've been doing. And, who knows, I might still have, I might never have made the improvements I made if I hadn't been willing to give it a try.
Right.
Click here for part 3 of the Layne Norton interview as we talk about occluded training.